Welcome to episode 13 of Translated's adventure around the world in the Ocean Globe Race. My name is Paul Cayard. I'm your host. I'm here in an airport today, but I've had time to look at the tracker and the router and even prepare a special segment for you on that high pressure bubble that gave Translated some trouble at the ice waypoint, but then wreaked havoc on Pendwick, and we'll check and see if Pendwick might have had some different options. So in the end, we'll take a look at the router and see what the fleet can expect in the week coming up. So taking a look at what's happened in the past 6 days or so as the fleet rounded the ice waypoint, there was a high pressure bubble that rolled through here and created difficulties for everybody really other than Pendwick. And we see here Pendwick scooting across the top of the ice waypoint, whereas Translated comes in and has to actually tack onto starboard and head due north to get around the ice waypoint. Maiden and Spirit of Helsinki also had similar difficulties getting around. The interesting thing here at this point, though, on November 26th, is that after passing the ice waypoint, Pendwick invested its lead up into the north, into the Bight of Australia. And this, I reported, was a little bit dangerous, and sure enough it has panned out to be a losing strategy, whereas Translated has remained south where there is typically more wind and again a shorter course. Here Pendwick's having to sail south to try to get back into some wind. They were battling light headwinds up in there, and all the while Translated has closed down Pendwick's lead, and in fact Translated is winning once again in the IRC corrected time system and is about 185 miles further away from Auckland than Pendwick at this time. The max distance was probably something over 300 miles between the boats, and that will continue to narrow, as we'll see in the router in a minute. My starting point this week, as usual, is Translated's position at 8 p.m. UTC on the 29th, and my destination is the North Cape of New Zealand. The finish line is down here in Auckland, but all yachts will have to go around the North Cape of New Zealand in order to get into Auckland. And this is Pendwick's position. They're about 185 miles closer to the North Cape at this point in time, but that's a long way down, or a lot less than their 300-mile plus lead they had when Translated was back here at the ice waypoint. But as you can see from the squiggly line that Pendwick, the route that they had to sail battling the high pressure bubble, that's this high pressure bubble here that rolled through, Translated has been able to make up a lot of the distance, the advantage that Pendwick had, and in fact Translated is winning in IRC once again. So this is Thursday. Translated still sailing along in good northwesterlies. Pendwick will be here battling the edge of this ridge, again losing miles to Translated. This will be Friday, and here comes another little feature that's going to be a problem for both boats. It's another high pressure bubble. At this point in time, Translated's getting a little less wind than they had on Thursday, but still moving along well. And Pendwick is up in this area here, catching some, looks like, southeasterlies. Friday or Saturday, here's what happens is this high pressure bubble is going to roll through, and the only good thing about it for Translated is they are on the south side of it, where the prevailing winds are westerlies. Pendwick's likely to be up on the north side of this and have to battle headwinds once again. So this will cost both boats a little bit, but through all this, I think Translated is going to gain, and Sunday or early Monday morning, I think Translated will be on this line of longitude, and Pendwick will be up in here about 50 miles closer to the destination. So I'm expecting another 125-mile gain for translated boat for boat on Penduik in the next 4 days. So on the 25th of November, this was the situation with the weather, and this is the high pressure bubble that created easterly winds for translated and made them have to tack to get around this ice waypoint. They're not yet at the ice waypoint. Penduik has rounded and is seemingly sailing pretty far to the north, which, as we saw and talked about, has led them into a bad situation. I just wanted to review this picture because the question would have been, could they have rounded the ice waypoint and gotten south to get on the westerly winds that are on the southern side of a high pressure system in the southern hemisphere, and then scooted around in these breezes that were much better? And I think the answer to the question is they really didn't have an opportunity, because probably when they were at the ice waypoint, this bubble was right in this area, and they would have had to sail straight in the middle of the high in order to get to the south side, which that's never a recommended thing to do. So I think it might have been just a case of bad luck for Penduik, the way it's set up. It seemed like bad luck for translated because they did give up quite a bit of distance in getting around the ice waypoint, again because of the position of the high bubble. But the lasting longer term effects of the high pressure bubble seem to be worse for Penduik.
And that's a wrap on episode 13. It's exciting times. There's just a little over 2,300 miles to go to Auckland, New Zealand, and maybe 10, 12 days. And Vittorio and the team are doing a great job. They might have got a little lucky in the end of the day with that high pressure bubble, and the one that'll come up over the weekend is positioned nicely for them too. So I think they're going to make good gains on Penduik, just boat for boat, and big gains in terms of corrected time. So, as always, we need to believe in humans.